All right. Welcome to week 1 and week 1 for Evict Fear Mastermind. So I am going to be recording this, and this way, all of those of you who registered for the 20-day Evict Fear Challenge can also get this information from our mastermind. So I am super excited because this is just an addition to everything that you are going through with the challenge. These are some additional work shops and tools and activities that you're going to be able to have on hand, have on deck when you find yourself in a moment of self-doubt, when you find yourself in a moment of procrastination, when other people are laughing at you and you're wondering if you're crazy, when you're just having a life moment where everything seems to be falling apart. These are additional activities to help you refocus, to help you gain more confidence, basically train your faith more, because these masterminds, the next 4 weeks, are going to really also delve in more into God's character, who he is, how he has promised to help us through our troubles. Life is going to be troublesome, but we cannot let it be something that sets us back or keeps us from slowing our momentum. So hi, Latoya. I started, I think it might actually for this evening just be the two of us because the other people are occupied.
Oh, shit.
But how are you doing?
I'm good.
Oh, good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, perfect. Yes. So I'm actually in my car in the Bronx. I live in Brooklyn. I had another event. And so I said, I'm going to make this all work. And so I am in my car using my hotspot, my laptop.
Okay.
Yes, but feel free if you want, you can turn your camera on. But yes, so I wanted to do an opening activity, and I know you registered for the challenge. Did you have a chance to actually start the challenge yet?
No.
Okay. So I wanted to give some time. This is just like how we'll go through the evening together for the next hour. So I was gonna give you, if you had started the actual challenge itself, an opportunity to ask any questions or get any clarifications on anything. We'll do a reading and discussion. I've got a breakthrough activity for you planned, and then we'll do a wrap up on that. So are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. I'm so happy you are here. I did want to start with a little bit of background. I know we met on Clubhouse, and so I don't even remember that evening what exactly in Clubhouse I had shared, but I'm curious, what made you join the challenge? What was it that made you want to participate?
I was just supporting. That's all.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love it. Well, I think this is going to like actually support you. So I feel like then we are very similar because I love supporting others and I see how I appreciate your support. So yes. I think this will support you because we all are at different points in our lives, but it's always a good refresher also. So here's how the whole thing came about, how I ended up developing Evict Fear. What happened is in the fall of 2021, I lost my job that I'd had for 20 years. Well, not that one particular job, but I was a teacher for 20 years and I lost my job. And so it was due to discrimination. I didn't do anything crazy. So my kids all loved me. They missed me when I left. But anyway, what happened is I really only had my business to sustain me economically, but it was not earning enough income. And so it could be a panic situation, but I pretty much committed to not panicking. And my best friend was like, "What's going on? How are you not freaking out? I'd be freaking out right now if I was you." And I did have some freak out moments. I'm going to be honest. There were some moments where I was like, okay, how is this going to all work? Because these are just like a few of the things that happened to me in the first year of my full-time entrepreneurship journey. And basically these things and being able to like focus, and I'm going to be giving you guys for the next 4 weeks 4 keys for being able to stay focused, evicting fear, advancing in life, all of those good things, right? These experiences, all of these things that I went through is what helped me to write the challenge and helped me to write the mastermind. I did not just invent this all just for fun. This is like everything I'm going to be teaching you all is all lived experience. So financially, at the beginning of January 2022, I pretty much started at 3%. And I needed to grow my business. I knew I needed money. I needed coaching. And then things really like went weird. I went on a walk after a snowstorm upstate when I was visiting my parents. Snow fell off a tree. It broke my glasses. Who's that happened to? Have you ever heard of that happening to anyone, Latoya?
No.
No, that's like the kind of year I was having financially. My laptop decided it didn't want to work any longer. I had to get a new laptop, right? Not the right time of like financial time to have to purchase a major piece of equipment. My car kept needing repairs almost every month. It was kind of old. It was like 20 years old. Then the catalytic converter was stolen, so then I had no car. I had to cash in my retirement at one point because like how else was I going to get a new car or any of this? Pretty much depleted most of my savings. Debts were increasing. My health insurance ran out. I didn't know a lot. Things were just really unstable. And so I had 2 choices. I could either freak out and fall apart, or I could get rid of the fear part. And I was not I didn't think freaking out was going to help me. So I had to figure out how I was going to proceed. And so I'm going to start for this week with key 1, because I think you didn't have you hadn't started the actual challenge yet, right? So I'll skip that. And we'll go into like some discussion. And the first thing that I had to do is understand what fear was. And I had gone through some other situations previously. It's another story for another another workshop. So I had some knowledge about spiritual warfare and everything, but I had to really understand what fear was and free myself from limiting beliefs about my situation that I was like currently in, and my future. So yes, let's get a little participation. Do you want to read this verse, please?
For God had not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. 2 Timothy 1 verse 7.
Yes. So is there anything in that verse? Thank you for reading. Is there anything in that verse that stands out to you?
I mean it's a very popular verse that people repeat, so not really.
Okay, so it's just something you're familiar with? right?
Yeah.
So what stands out to me and what we're going to work on, we're going to like in a little bit, our activity, like the actual breakthrough activity is going to revolve around love, because that's what we have. We have through God, we have power and love. And that is going to be what propels us forward. Fear is what a lot of people don't realize is actually a spirit. I'm not sure what your background is. Do you have a Christian background, or are you from like no background, a
I'm a
different
Christian.
so oh, okay. So then you're maybe familiar in the churches that you've been in, because this was something that was not really discussed. I grew up Methodist. And then even when I went on as an adult to other churches, spiritual warfare was not often talked about. In your churches that you've attended, have they ever really talked about like the spiritual aspect of it?
Yeah.
That's good. That is good. So, um, fear is so I'm going to break it down a little bit more, and then you can tell me if this is like what you've heard, or we can build on it. So, there's two parts to fear. There's the emotional part, and then there's the spiritual part. So, the emotional part is our instinct. Like, it keeps you safe. So if I'm standing on the edge of a cliff, right, I'm going to naturally feel afraid that if the wind blows too strong, I could get pushed off, right? Like it could blow me off because I'm a small person, right? It keeps me safe. It makes me want to like step back from the edge. That's a good thing, right? It, it's just part of like self-preservation. It can also actually, fear can bring pleasure. I don't know if you ever thought about it that way, but amusement park rides, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like roller coasters, right? They're fun, but they're terrifying. And then you're like, let's go again. And then it's also about in your body, the fight or flight. And different people respond in different ways. But it really kind of goes back. It's just like how our brain processes and goes through things at the moment. And we end up either running away or standing and fighting. But it's like an emotion. And then sometimes when we are in even like in an emotion of fear, it can cause confusion. Like our decision making may not be the best. So if I am feeling like afraid, I might be confused, like what should I do now? Like think like in a bad relationship, or like in a relationship, like, well, this person doesn't seem like the best person for me, but I'm afraid of being alone. I mean, that might not be something that you've ever struggled with, but that's like, something that a lot of people struggle with, and then there's like this confusion. Do I like just break up with this person and see what happens next, or do I just like settle, right? Like that's like one of those like really common confusion. Decision making might not be the best if you're making it in fear. Did you have any thoughts or questions you wanted to add to that?
No.
Okay. So then this is the opposite. So a spirit of fear, a lot of people will teach in the church that if you're Christian, if you've been saved, if you're covered by the blood of Jesus, that you are not like you're what's the word I'm looking for? Like you can't be oppressed by spirits. But that's actually not really true. And if you go through the Bible, and there's different stories, right? There's different people who had spirits. And so it's not that you're possessed by a spirit. I'm not saying that, but it can be an influence. People, even people who are Christian, who are, saved and covered by the blood of Jesus, can still have fear that kind of is making them do things that are more compulsory, It's more of like a driving force, and it's really like a lack of trust in God, self, or others. So a lot of times, like doubting yourself, like, or God or others, like that double-mindedness, like you pray and you're like, okay, well, I prayed, but maybe it won't come true. Or, you know, I hope for this, but I have to like stay in reality and be realistic about this. And you have, and then you've got like this back and forth torment that's kind of like going on in your mind. Well, maybe not you, but like in general, people. So that is more of a spirit of fear. Um, so to break it down a little bit more, let me zoom in on this. So, like I just shared, compulsory driving force, it can limit ability to give and receive love. So being like afraid to be open. It could even be honest or open with yourself, or honest or open to someone else. Oh, if I tell someone about my past, they won't love me. Those are things that like are, you know, you want to share, you want to be close, you want to have intimacy with your husband, your wife, the person you're dating, whoever it is, your children, right? Different, your friends, right? But you're afraid that like if they really knew the real you, for example, this is just an example, if they really knew the real you, they wouldn't love you, um they wouldn't want to be your friends, they wouldn't want to stay married to you, whatever it is. So it's kind of like that shame, and so you're having that inner conflict. Things like jealousy, you know, no one really wants to be jealous of someone, but feeling like some sort of way, like, oh, why did that person get a promotion at work? I've been working really hard too. You don't really want to be jealous of your coworker, but you find yourself being jealous of them. So that's where it's more like, you know, like there's a spirit of fear that's coming in there at the root. Perfectionism, self-comparison. This was like perfectionism, something that I personally really struggled with, right? I'm a recovering perfectionist. If I'm not perfect, I won't be worthy of love. It's a spirit of fear at the root of it. Being realistic, being afraid to hope, again, even is in like distrust of God. Addictions, a lot of times addicted, be like whether it's pornography, alcohol, it could even be something so like harmless like a caffeine addiction. Sometimes I'll just like go on breaks from coffee just so that I don't have, you know, like it's not like a bad addiction necessarily, but you know, there's like you know, different things that you can be like holding on to. And at the root of it, a lot of addictions, it's like covering up a fear of something. People pleasing, self-sabotage. And basically the spirit of fear is going to lie to us. So it's going to tell us lies about ourselves, about others. Let me just move this a little bit. Or our situation. Did you have any thoughts on any of that?
No.
Okay. Feel free if you do. And then there's the opposite. So a lot of times, it sounds like not in your church, but a lot of times churches or Christians will be like, and I've even heard non-Christians say like, oh, the idea of the Holy Spirit, that's creepy. So they kind of avoid it and they don't really talk about the Holy Spirit, because in a lot of circles, Christian and non-Christian, it's scary that a spirit would influence you, but we are all influenced by someone or something, right? We can be either influenced by jealousy or we can be influenced by love. And the thing is that God's spirit or the Holy Spirit, while a lot of people in the past have been afraid of it or afraid to talk about it, including pastors, church leaders sometimes, to not like scare away their congregants, there's nothing scary about it, because the things that God's Spirit gives us, do you want to read some of the things that God's Spirit gives us? Like the influence that it brings into our lives? Do you mind? I was looking for a little participation, so it's not just me talking. If you
Love,
Mhm.
peace, kindness, self-control, faithfulness, joy, patience, goodness, and gentleness.
Yes, I love it. So these again are really good things that can influence us. And these also are things that can influence us as well. And which do we want to be, who do we want to be influenced by, right?
God.
That's my choice. And so how do we get that? Because sometimes the reality of a situation, like my reality of a situation was my financial circumstances were unstable. It made a lot of things very uncertain for me as a result, right? Like I could have really gone into any of these things, you know? But this is what I was choosing to walk in, and this is like what I'm going to help for this evening us to like be able to do even a little bit more deeply. So God's Spirit reveals the truths to us about ourselves, others, and our situations, even when those situations don't look good. So how is this possible? This might be familiar to you as well. And this is, remember when I said back here? Oh, nope. Let me get back up here. Remember I said I was going to focus in more on love, right?
Mm-hmm.
So God doesn't give us like anything on this side, and that does not come from God. All right. Anything on this side comes from God, as you know. And so let's look more into love, because the reason why love is so important and that we focus in on that is for this very first verse. Do you want to read it, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fear is not made perfect in love. 1 John 4, verse 18.
Yes, thank you. Was there anything that stood out to you in that verse, or that made you think about anything?
No.
No. Okay. Next week, I think more people will be able to join us. So hopefully it won't be just you doing the talking next week. Um, okay, so this part here is what I want to focus in on for the key. So remembering that I was a teacher for 20 years, so remembering to free ourselves from our limiting beliefs, right? And so how to do that is understanding that the opposite of fear is love. That if we want to evict fear, if we want to feel more confident, if we want to just even feel more secure with God, even it has to be the love, like those characteristics, and that's what we focus in on. And a lot of times that love, we first have to start with ourselves, right? And not even looking to other people or the world, because how we treat ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, how we think about ourselves is either going to be in like a loving place or a fearful place, right? So going back to my job loss, if I'm looking at everything that I didn't have, right? All the things that I lost, I'm looking and I'm going to start talking to myself like I'm a victim. I'm going to start talking to myself like maybe I'm not good. But if I'm focusing in and speaking in a loving way to myself and about my situation, like all right, this is a challenge. How can I get this to work? Like what things do I need to put in place, right? And I start talking to myself from a position or a perspective of love like God does. I'm not going to be as likely to be afraid. I'm going to be able to move without the fear, because a lot of times when we get into like a situation comes up, it could be health, it could be financial, it could be like a surprise disappointment in a relationship, right? But we want things to like be quick. We want a quick resolution, like, oh my gosh, how do I just like quickly, instantly get out of this, right? But one thing is that love is patient. So sometimes there's circumstances, even though the circumstance might be really ugly and we want to be out of it as quick as possible. But sometimes we have to just kind of be patient and sort it out, right? Um, so and just go through it. um Love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others. Do you want to read the rest of what about love? This is also a really famous verse.
It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoice. But wait,
Oh,
love does not
everything
delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserve.
yes, yes, I made a typo. I'll go back and fix that later.
Mhm.
Thank you. Yes, so
Persevere. It always perseveres.
yes, so
Sorry.
it's okay. No, I think also, you know, it does. It keeps going. So like it doesn't give up. A lot of times when we're afraid, fear will make us want to give up. Oh, I can't do that. It's too hard, right? But no, love is going to keep us going forward. And not in like a harsh way, right? So for example, it's not easily angered. When my employer discriminated against me, I'll be honest, I was pretty pissed off. So I I was angry. I actually had to like get back into a place of love, and I had to really forgive. And I had to actively maintain my forgiveness because I was really not happy at all, because I was not the only one who was discriminated against. I had other colleagues who my former employer, discriminated against as well. There was a whole group of us, and I was just pissed, right? So, to put it bluntly. So, in order to like not get sucked into that fear, I had to forgive, right? I had to like release the anger. I had to process through that. And that brings me to this. So this is our activity for the evening. Yes, we are on time. Okay. So, do you have a piece of paper handy, or do you use a journal?
I do have paper.
Okay, awesome. So you're going to want to get your paper, get a pen, pencil, marker, crayon, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. Um, what you're going to be doing, I'm going to give you an example so you can see it, is in order for me to like evict fear and like be able to stay calm, I had to become love in a way, right? I had to um look to God. I had to have God help me. I did not like just become anything on my own, right? um this was something that I had to have God help me with. But how does one become that? And it's pretty big, right? This is like a lot to do, right? It's a lot, right?
Yes.
It's like a really tall order. So what I like to do is do things one step at a time, and pick something that I might be struggling with. In my case, I was angry, with my former employer. I was feeling some kind of way. And a part of me was a little bit impatient, but it was really like the anger part. And it's ironic because last year I also wrote a 20-day forgiveness journal. So as I was like writing out the 20-day forgiveness journal, which I had put together actually based on another situation that I had gone through a few years prior, I was like going through the forgiveness process. So anyway, I chose a word, and I'm going to show you an example. I chose the word gentle. And it was something that I had already been working on for myself. The word gentle, being gentle as a woman, stepping more even into my feminine as a woman. And the gentleness of that had been something that I had actually been working on developing. But then when I was feeling angry, I knew I needed to keep going with that development and become that. And for me, that part was the part of love that I chose to describe. So you're going to pick one word from love that you feel you would like to develop more in your life, that you would like to become more of. It's going to require you to do a little like Googling. We can do it together if you want. I can help you. I can work with you. And like, I can also Google things for you if you like. You're going to come up with you're going to look up the definition of what that word means, some cinnamon, not cinnamon, synonyms, other words that mean the same thing, the etymology, which is the history of the character word, 1 to 2 Bible verses about your character word, and a picture. And it's not that hard. And if we don't finish it today, that's okay. You can finish it on your own. But basically what you're doing is you're mapping out who you are stepping more into. Obviously, you're already a very loving person because you supported my endeavor, and I appreciate that. So what I did was the word gentle for me was the character trait that I wanted to work more on. So gentle. I wrote down some definitions of gentle. Yours does not have to look like this, right? You can it can be as messy or as neat as you want because this is for you. I came up with just how I wanted to do the design for myself, but however you want to map it out. Over here, I have other words, other words for gentle. There were things that I didn't really realize when I was doing it, right? Friendly, courteous. But I think what was really interesting to me was the history of gentle, which is like the French actually, in the early 13th century, there was a French, it came from French, and it was like coming from a good family, courageous, noble. And I was like, but that's like us with God, right? As God's sons and daughters, he gives us a family and he gives us courage, and we're royalty, right? We're a royal priesthood. So I was like, this is just so interesting to me how the history of the word actually really tells me more about who I am in God. And then I looked up, I said 1 to 2. For whatever reason, I decided to write 4 different verses. And then I drew a little picture of myself. Sometimes my self-talk I learned in the past. This was something I learned in the past and I was bringing into this activity. It could be a little rough when I talk to other people. So I was like, if I am gentle with myself, then I will be gentle with my partners, my friendships, my whoever, my parents, my cousin, who I'm dating, right? And we will all shine together. Like when I'm gentle, we all. So that was my little picture. So yes, so you're going to do a little map for yourself. How do you feel about that?
Good.
Okay. Did you have a word in mind?
Um, hmm. It keep no records of wrong. That's me.
That's you. So forgiving. So basically your character trait is keeping no records of wrong. Yeah, that goes with forgiveness. So yes, we're not like, I remember last week you did the same thing and the week before that. And you're mad, and then they hear their whole history. Yeah. So your character trait would actually be for forgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you want to do it together?
I mean, we don't got to do it together.
Oh, okay. So I didn't know if you wanted me to if you could I didn't know what device you were on. So and I don't know what other technology you have available. So I'm
Oh,
gonna give you I was gonna give it we have about 10 minutes. Yeah. So I was gonna give it 10 minutes for you to just create your own character map. And so yes, I'm gonna set my timer so we don't actually, accidentally go over. But yeah, if you want, I can, if you don't have laptop and cell phone and all that, I can help you look things up too if you like. Or not. But yeah, I'll play a little music for you while you're working. And let me know if you want me to look something up for you, okay?
mm-hmm.
And then I'll put up my example so that you can see. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I work better with no music.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I will turn the music off. My students, when I was actually teaching, a lot of times liked music. So I just put
No,
music on.
I like working for you.
Okay, no problem.
Praise the Lord, you're on the air. Praise the Lord, how are y'all doing? Oh, bless the Lord, my sister. Oh, hi, Pastor, how are you? Good afternoon, my sister, how are you? I'm very, very tired. Oh, boy. That's everybody crying out.
So, let's see. From even the level Week1, it says now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. All right. Oh, I think that was it. That's your last one. So I think this the great thing is that when we have enough faith that anything is possible, especially if we ask for from the small things to the bigger things.
Latoya, maybe would it be good for you to mute?
Mute. Oh,
Yeah, the only reason I'm saying is because I was hearing like a second conversation.
oh, my mom is listening to the radio.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't know what was going on. That's fine. All right, Latoya. How are you doing? How are you coming along with your character word map?
Good.
Good. Oh, I see you. Hi.
Yeah.
Yes. Did you want to show it? Can we see it?
I'm not finished yet.
Oh, okay. What did you learn so far?
I just keep no record. I just said let go, because if you keep no record of wrongdoing, it basically means that you're letting go of whatever the situation that happened. And it also means to forgive.
Yes. So did you have a chance to look up other synonyms? Like other words?
No, I just got let go and forgive, because that's what keep no record mean.
Yes. You want to also look it up. So you want to make sure you get like the actual formal definitions, because that's where like the breakthrough actually happens. And that's where you learn so like so let's look this up really quick. So, for example, here, this is like one way, because it gives us like new ways of thinking. So, like excuse, forget, acquit, clear, let up on, wink at. Like I never would have thought wink at. Bury the hatchets, bear no malice, accept apology, absolve, condone. And I actually take issue with this one, but because usually when someone hurts us, you don't really condone the behavior. If someone kills another person, like it's not something that you can condone, but you can still forgive, right? So it's interesting, right? Like because when you look things up, you can question more, and learn other options for thinking. Like if we do definition of forgive, let's see, Merriam-Webster. To cease to feel resentment, to give up, to grant relief from payment of, like forgive a debt. Yeah, so there's like the verb, which is pretty much like an action. When you look it up, you think of it as like action. You know what I'm saying? So like looking things up and going really into it, can help you like get new insight, which is why I didn't want just my definition. I have my own ideas of what gentleness is. Like for me, I do think gentleness is like stepping more into my femininity, being more feminine, right? But it's not really anything that was right here, but I see where that's really, what I'm saying, kind of also does imply that. You know, I think if I'm gentle once I am married, I will be more, biblically able to submit to my husband, be more respectful, right? So there's just, what I'm saying, like there's different things. Like if I'm learning more how to become more of something, become more loving in that way, I want to look up and get other perspectives than just my own. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm curious, the etymology. Oops, T. Oops. And these are always like really fascinating to me too. But there's like an online etymology dictionary. And so, you know, there's like a prefix for, which means like away, opposite, completely. And then per, which is forward, hence, in front of, before. So it's almost like an advancement, like future, right? And GABA, which is like a Proto-Indo-European root meaning to give or receive. Because sometimes the biggest person we have to receive forgiveness from is ourselves, even in order to be able to give forgiveness to someone else. Sometimes we have to be able to receive it for ourselves. So yeah. So yeah, on your own time, finish like drawing out your map. And yeah, how did you like the activity though?
So the activity, as you said, you were a teacher, so that was your teacher personality shining through.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how to turn it off, so why even try? Why even try? Yes. So, yes, were there any last thoughts or any questions you had before we wrap up for the evening?
No, because I gotta go finish my tax.
Oh my goodness. Yes, you have to get those done.
Yeah, I was like doing my tax, and then I saw it was 8 o'clock. So I'm like, wait, let me join. And I'm still not finished with the tax yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a project. So, best wishes.
Thank you.
Yes. And yeah, if you can start the actual challenge this week too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what your schedule's really like, but they're only like 20 minutes a day. So I try to make the challenges so that they can be like not time consuming. You can do it in 20 minutes, and anyone can find 20 minutes in the day. So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining. I'll be back next week with another key, with key 2 for evicting fear. It's gonna be a little bit more into advancing forward in kind of some goals and getting some things accomplished. That yeah. So I don't want to say anymore. All right. So have a good evening. Reach out to me. You can message me if you need as well, if you have any questions, okay?
Okay. Have a good night, Beth.
Thank you. You too. Good night.
Good night.